All right. Hello, everyone, and a special shout out to all those gearing up for those UPSC exams.
Yes.
You know we got you covered.
Absolutely.
Today, we're taking a deep dive into something that's going to be front and center in your current affairs prep.
Yeah.
And in that environment section, we're talking about India's industrial emissions.
Uh-huh.
Kind of a balancing act, isn't it?
It is.
Trying to juggle this rapid economic growth with, well, keeping the air breathable.
Yeah.
And for this deep dive, we're pulling some serious insights from a recent The Hindu editorial.
Always a good source.
Always the good stuff. So you know we're in for some serious analysis.
It's not just about cramming those facts and figures.
Right,
You
yeah.
know, getting a handle on this whole industrial emission situation in India, it's a big deal for both prelims and mains
Oh, absolutely.
because it ties into like all these big picture themes, energy security, sustainable development, even those global climate agreements.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So first things first, let's zoom out and get that big picture view. India's economy, it's booming, right?
Oh, yeah.
Which is amazing. But that means more of everything.
Yeah.
More factories, more power plants, more of all those things that, tend to leave a bit of a carbon footprint.
Yeah, and those footprints, they can really pile up when you think about the major players here.
Yeah.
Power generation, especially those coal-fired plants, that's a big one.
Huge.
And then you've got all those energy-intensive industries, steel, cement, all crucial for development. But yeah, big emission sources for sure.
Okay, so we've established lots of industries equal lots of emissions.
Right.
But hold on, isn't India also making a big push for renewable energy?
Right.
It's like they're trying to play both sides,
Well, that's the dilemma, isn't it?
Yeah.
You've got India approving new coal projects as recently as November 2024, but at the same time, they're setting these ambitious targets for slashing emissions.
Yeah.
If I was a UPSC examiner, I'd be so tempted to throw a question about this on the exam.
Oh, you're reading my mind.
Yeah.
That is definitely going on the potential exam question list.
For sure.
But why?
Yeah.
Why is it so hard to just ditch coal when we know it's, well, not doing the planet any favors?
It really comes down to, the economics of it.
Okay.
Coal is cheap in India.
Yeah.
It's easy to get. And that makes it the default option for a lot of these industries, especially when you factor in how expensive it can be to switch over to, cleaner energy sources.
Right, so it's like a tug of war between short-term gains and, well, the long-term health of the planet.
Exactly.
But there's got to be more to it than just the cost, right?
Oh, for sure.
I mean, what other roadblocks are keeping India from truly greening its industrial sector?
Well, a big one is the, how quickly they can adopt new technology.
Yeah.
Let's take this flue gas desulfurization technology, for example, FGD.
Okay, FATD.
It's designed to, scrub those nasty sulfur dioxide emissions from those coal plants.
Okay.
But getting it up and running has been a slow process. Deadlines keep getting pushed back. And that kind of raises some questions about, how effective those policies really are.
Huh, interesting.
And how committed everyone is to making this green transition happen.
It's one thing to have the policies on paper,
Yeah.
but actually putting them into practice on the ground, that's a whole different story.
It is a different beast, isn't it?
It's like there's this gap between what they want to do and what's actually happening.
The gap between ambition and action, yeah.
But is it all about technology, or are there, deeper systemic issues at play?
It's a bit of both, really. It's a bit like, imagine trying to get a company to trade in that old trusty truck they've had forever
Yeah.
for a brand new electric one.
Okay, yeah,
They might see the benefits in the long run,
sure.
but that initial cost, that's a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah, especially for smaller businesses.
Especially for smaller businesses.
Those tight budgets.
Yeah, absolutely.
So financial incentives could be a game changer here. Right, like sweeten the deal, make it worth their while to switch.
Make it attractive.
Yeah.
And there are things like those carbon trading markets, but the way it's priced now, it's just not enough to, get everyone on board
Yeah.
to really make that big shift happen.
Mm.
And then you've got those regulatory loopholes.
Oh, right.
Some industries, they find ways to work around the rules
Okay, yeah.
or just delay things,
Drag their feet.
drag their feet. Yeah.
And that obviously slows everything down.
Yeah, definitely.
But it's not just a technological hurdle, is it?
No, it's not just about the tech.
I mean, these are massive industries we're talking about. It's not like flipping a switch and suddenly everything's green.
Exactly. A lot of those industrial processes, they're just inherently inefficient.
Yeah.
Outdated machinery. generating tons of waste.
So what's the solution there?
I think something called the circular economy, that could be a real game changer.
Okay, circular economy. I've heard that term thrown around.
Yeah.
But I'm not entirely sure I grasp it fully.
Think of it like a closed loop.
Okay.
Instead of that old, take, make, dispose model.
Right.
The circular economy is all about, minimizing waste, making the most of what we already have.
Okay.
So instead of things ending up in a landfill, those materials get reused, repurposed, or even recycled right back into the production process.
So squeezing every last bit of value out of our resources.
Exactly.
Minimizing that environmental impact along the way.
Yeah.
That sounds great in theory,
Yeah.
but how do you actually apply that to, like, heavy industries?
Yeah.
Like steel production or cement,
Yeah.
not exactly known for their eco-friendly image.
It's about changing the way we think.
Okay.
Take cement, for example.
Okay.
By using alternative fuels, incorporating recycled materials like fly ash,
Right.
they can cut those emissions significantly.
Mm.
Plus, there are technologies out there like carbon capture and storage.
Right, CCS.
CCS, exactly. They can actually trap those emissions from these processes, stop them from getting into the atmosphere.
But CCS, that's still pretty expensive, isn't it?
Yeah, it's still kind of in its early stages.
Right.
But it's got huge potential, especially for those sectors that are really hard to decarbonize.
Right.
So investing in research and development, that's key to bringing those costs down.
Okay.
And making it a realistic option for India.
Yeah.
But it's worth remembering there are countries out there already leading the charge on this whole green transition thing.
Right.
We can definitely learn from what they're doing right.
Yeah, that's a good point. What are some of the best practices globally?
Yeah, the standouts.
Maybe some examples our listeners could, drop in their mains answers, really impress those examiners,
Exactly.
show off that they've done their homework.
Well, Denmark, they've done a phenomenal job with wind power.
Really?
Almost 60% of their electricity is from wind. It's impressive. And Germany, with their Energiewende policy, that's been a huge driver for their shift to renewables.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's electric vehicles. You can't talk about that without mentioning Norway.
Okay.
They're the champions. Over 80% of new car sales there are electric.
80%.
It's pretty amazing.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
It's like walking down the street in Oslo and it's just Teslas and Leafs everywhere.
Yeah, pretty much. But beyond the specific technologies,
Right.
are there bigger policy approaches that India could adopt?
Yeah. What about those?
Well, there's carbon pricing mechanisms like what they've got in Switzerland and Canada. They're proving to be pretty effective.
Okay.
The EU emissions trading system, that's another interesting model.
Mm-hmm.
These approaches, they basically make it more expensive to pollute. So it encourages industries to clean up their act.
Right. So using market forces to drive that environmental change.
Exactly.
But let's bring it back to India.
Yeah.
What's the roadmap here? What concrete steps can we take to really tackle this emissions challenge head on?
Well, there are a few key areas we need to focus on.
Okay.
Firstly, strengthening those carbon pricing mechanisms.
Okay.
Expanding them, making it hurt a little bit more to pollute.
Right. Hit them where it hurts?
Exactly. That'll encourage those industries to really look at those cleaner alternatives.
Makes sense. But what about those industries that are, heavily reliant on coal?
Right.
How do we make sure that transition is smooth?
Yeah.
That we don't end up with, massive economic disruption?
That's where this idea of a just transition comes in.
Just transition.
Yeah, it's about making sure that, nobody gets left behind as we shift to this greener economy.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
Mm.
Tell me more about this just transition. What does it actually look like in practice?
It's recognizing that some areas, some communities, they depend heavily on industries like, coal mining, power generation. And as we're making the shift to those cleaner options, it's crucial that we're there to support the workers in those sectors.
Right.
So think retraining programs,
Okay.
financial assistance, and really investing in those green industries, right in those regions that are going to be most affected.
Yeah, so it's like creating a safety net, right?
Exactly.
As we make this shift
Yeah.
to ensure that, people aren't left behind, that they
Yeah.
have opportunities.
Nobody gets left behind.
Yeah, that's a really important consideration,
It is.
especially, from that social equity standpoint.
Absolutely.
But this whole transition, it's going to take time, right?
Yeah.
It's going to require a ton of investment.
It will.
Are we talking big bucks here?
Oh, definitely. Scaling up that green hydrogen ecosystem, that's a perfect example.
Okay, green hydrogen.
Green hydrogen,
Right.
made from those renewable sources, that's got the power to really decarbonize those tricky sectors.
Yeah.
Steel, cement, even fertilizers.
Okay, so it's got wide applications.
Huge potential. But to build the infrastructure for that,
Yeah.
to bring those costs down,
Right.
that's going to need a real joint effort
Yeah.
from the government and from the private sector.
Okay, so green hydrogen, it's a bit of a silver bullet. Yeah. But it's not the only solution, right?
No, it's not a magic wand, unfortunately.
Well.
Energy efficiency, that's going to be a big part of this, too.
Okay.
Stricter standards,
Yeah.
promoting that waste heat recovery,
Right.
encouraging those industries to get on board with those smart grid technologies.
Okay, so making the most of what we already have.
Exactly, squeezing every last bit of energy out of what we're using.
It's like making your house more energy efficient, right?
It is.
Better insulation,
Yeah.
LED lights,
Yeah.
all those little things
Yeah,
add up to big savings.
big savings, yeah.
But obviously on a much grander scale.
Exactly, industrial scale.
Yeah.
And we can't forget about transportation.
Right.
Pushing those electric vehicles,
Yeah.
expanding public transport,
Hmm.
making our logistics more efficient.
Right.
Those are all key pieces to cleaning up that transportation sector.
Okay, so it's a multi-pronged approach.
It's got to be.
We're tackling emissions from everywhere, from the power generation to those heavy industries to how we move things around,
Yeah.
all while, make sure that transition is just and equitable for everyone.
Right. We can't leave anyone behind.
It's a complex problem,
It is.
but it sounds like we've got, some viable solutions on the table.
Yeah. There's definitely hope.
So what's your take on this?
Yeah.
Do you think India can actually hit those climate goals, those ambitious goals they've set, while still growing their economy?
I think they can, but it's going to need everyone on board.
Yeah.
The government,
Right.
the private sector, even individuals.
Yeah.
We need to stop thinking short term, embrace that long-term vision.
Sustainability. Yeah.
Sustainability where the economy grows, but the environment is protected too.
I like that. Yeah. A win-win situation.
Exactly. We can have both.
Well, this has been fantastic.
It has.
Really insightful deep dive. I feel like we've covered a lot of ground.
We have.
From the nitty-gritty of industrial processes to those bigger concepts, just transition,
Yeah.
sustainable development,
Big ideas.
all crucial for those UPSC aspirants out there.
Absolutely.
I bet they're already drafting their mains answers in their heads as we speak.
I hope so. And remember, this is just the beginning.
Yeah.
Keep digging deeper.
Keep learning, yeah.
Explore those different perspectives. Connect these ideas to other parts of that UPSC syllabus.
Right.
The more you understand how it all fits together, the better prepared you'll be for those tough exam questions.
Couldn't agree more. And as always, we want to hear from you.
Yes.
What were your key takeaways from this deep dive?
Yeah. What stood out to you?
What questions are still swirling around in your head about this whole industrial emissions challenge in India?
Leave us a comment below.
Yeah, hit us up in the comments. We love hearing your thoughts.
Yeah.
And, your question might even inspire a future episode.
Yeah, you never know.
And hey, if you found this deep dive helpful,
Useful.
don't forget to hit that like button.
Like, subscribe.
Subscribe to the channel for even more UPSC-focused content.
All that good stuff.
All the good stuff. And sharing is caring, so spread the knowledge.
Forever.
Help your fellow aspirants ace those exams.
Yeah, absolutely.
But before we wrap things up, let's leave our listeners with something to ponder, a little food for thought.
Okay, hit us with it.
Can India really become, a global leader in this whole sustainability movement while still relying so heavily on coal?
That's the question.
It's a tough one.
It is a tough one.
No easy answers, but it's a question every UPSC aspirant should be grappling with. Yeah, really makes you think. And just a reminder, all the info for this deep dive, it came straight from a recent The Hindu editorial.
Go check it out.
So be sure to check that out for even more in-depth analysis.
It's a great read.
Keep learning, keep questioning, and stay tuned for more deep dives into the world of UPSC prep. Until next time.
See you then.